Yes, come to page 15. 356 is excluded.
Yes.
So
that
the
is-
entire constitution was made applicable by the 1954 order,
Malaj, it said-
except to the extent of exclusion.
Malaj, this part 5 is state 11 straight away. There's no question of the entire constitution being included.
The provisions of the Constitution, which
Yes.
in addition to Article 1 and Article 370 shall apply in relation to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and the exceptions and modifications shall be as follows. Now, one thing is very interesting. The word only, which we found in the 1950 order, has been deleted in the 1954
Right.
order.
Right.
So the exception made here is the entire constitution is adopted subject to the
Yes.
modification
Yes.
made there.
Ex-
Unlike the
Other than 1 and
1950,
3. Other than 1 and 3.
1 and 3 is already there.
That's right.
By,
That's
unlike 1950 order, which had specific articles were made applicable, now the entire constitution.
No, because 356 was not applicable at this.
No, but there would be a clause in this saying
It's
356.
part by part, not true, Malaj. Part by, see part 1, no, part 2, part 3. It's part by part. It's not all.
Is 356 specifically excluded
No. At this
in
stage.
this, at this stage?
Yes. Excluded.
It would be excluded at
After
this.
part 5, you have part 9.
Yes, come to page 15. 356 is excluded.
Yes.
So
at
the
this-
entire constitution was made applicable by the 1954 order,
Malaj, it said-
except to the extent of exclusion.
Malaj, this part 5 is state 11 straight away. There's no question of the entire constitution being included.
Just 1 minute.
Mr. Sibal, my learned brother may be, if with respect, right. I'll tell you another reason. I'll give you another, just apropos what fell from Brother Sanjeev Khanna. Just see now part 3. First, we'll just see one small provision, clause 2. Clause 2 of the order of 1954.
Correct.
Yes.
It says the provisions of the Constitution, which
Yes.
in addition to Article 1 and Article 370 shall apply in relation to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and the exceptions and modifications shall be as follows. Now, one thing is very interesting. The word only, which we found in the 1950 order, has been deleted in the 1954
Right.
order.
Right.
So only goes.
Yes.
Now, let's go to part 3 for a moment, and just to test the hypothesis.
We'll just go to part. Yes.
Now, just see clause C in
Yes,
part
clause-
3.
Clause. Yes,
Right?
I got it, Malaj.
It says in clause 3 of Article 16, the reference to the state shall be construed as not including a reference to the state of Jammu and Kashmir.
Correct.
Now, if we see Article 16(3) of the Constitution,
Yes.
it says nothing in this article shall prevent Parliament from making any law prescribing in regard to a class or classes of employment or appointment to an office under the government or any local authority within a state or any requirement as to residence within that state or union territory prior to such employment or appointment.
Right.
Now, if the entirety of clause 16 were not to apply to Jammu and Kashmir,
Yes.
what was the reason for saying that only clause 16(3) will apply subject to these modifications?
For the simple reason that Malaj's other clauses in respect of clause 3 of the Constitution came into the J&K Constitution later. And I'll show that to your Lordship.
But is it your contention, therefore, that
Entirety of 16
that
applied.
16(1) didn't apply to the Jammu and Kashmir?
It did apply. It applied.
The part which is mentioned.
But how did it apply then?
No, part 3 applies in full. When it says part, your lordship may see they have a serial number and then they have A, B, C below each of these parts. So when they mention the part applies in full. Now, in that part, A, B, C will tell you the exception or modification of the provisions of the Constitution in that part. So when the part is indicated, the part applies in full. In the 1950 order, it was column. So in the second
That's what I was saying. See, in the earlier, the manner of printing of the two notifications
Yes,
is slightly
Yes, that's
different.
all. That's
That's
all.
very good.
In the first one,
has been
there is a
expressly
column,
approved.
Yeah.
it is an article,
Yes.
then what is the exception sort of
Correct,
carved
correct.
out?
And the modifications. Now it's
Modification exception
Correct.
carved out.
So now
In
it's
this, the way it is printed as I see it,
yes.
when they say part 3, it means part 3 applies, but
these exceptions and
one
modifications.
column of modifications which were there
Yes.
are specified underneath it.
That's
Exactly.
exactly what it is.
exactly.
Nothing, no difference.
Other than what has been explicitly excluded.
Yeah.
The rest of the part 3 applies.
That's correct. That's all that there is. That's all.
Mr.Sibal,
Like
I
16,
think,
1 and 2 apply.
Yeah.
Mr.Sibal, just come to page number, internal page number, the first page, page 10 of the
Page
notification.
10, okay.
The provisions of the Constitution.
Yes.
This means the entire provisions of the Constitution.
Page 10, your lordships. PDF page 10?
Yes,
Yes.
that's a notification, 14th May 1954, 2, clause 2. The
Page
provisions.
13, not 10.
13 of the.
Or page 13,
Yes,
yes,
13.
yes, page
Yeah.
13, you're right. The provisions of the constitution,
Yes. Yes.
which in addition to Article 1 and 317, Article 317,
Yes.
because that's covered by
Yes,
3.
yes.
Now, the provisions of the constitution refers to the entire provisions of the constitution.
Correct, correct. Yes.
Shall apply in relation to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, full stop.
Yes. Which,
Second-
the word
second-
also left the word out, which.
Yes, I'm aware of that. That second part says, the exceptions and modifications subject to which they shall also apply shall be as follows.
Correct, correct.
So thereafter, the exceptions are carved out
Yes.
with regard to each part of the provision of the constitution, which are either not to be applicable or applicable with modification.
Correct, correct.
And if you go down, it specifically says 356 is excluded.
Yes.
In case this was specific inclusion, they need not have specified 356 is excluded. Because by implication, 356, if not mentioned in the schedule, would have been excluded.
But with the greatest respect, when you say kindly read it, just see. Kindly see part 18.
The very fact that some articles have been
Kindly see
excluded,
page 18. Kindly see page 18. PDF page 18.
yes,
Which is this. See part 18. 352, the following new clause shall be added. Above that,
correct,
part 18.
correct.
And therefore there are exceptions.
We are then at item.
But the part applies, but there are exceptions and modifications.
So like
that-
part 18 applies, for example, part 18 applies,
Yes.
the modification is specified below that.
Yeah.
Then small clause B, 13, part 3, small b.
Therefore, there is no dispute on
The
that.
entire constitution has been
356,
applied.
357.
They will accept what
Exactly.
So these three articles of part,
Which shall apply shall be as follows.
Will not, that's correct.
Kindly see, and also it says the provisions which shall apply shall be as follows. Which shall apply? They are enumerating the provisions, that's all, Madam.
the next after that is what are the modifications?
Yes,
Or what is omitted. So
that's right.
mostly they are modifications, but some are omissions.
Yeah.
For example, in part 19, if you see,
Yes, I have it.
Article 362 and 365 are omitted.
Omitted, yes.
366 clause 21 will be omitted.
Omitted, correct.
Otherwise, the whole of part
Will apply.
19, other than this will apply.
That's right.
The approach is instead of going provision by provision and enumerating 395, they went part by part. And they said this whole part applies subject to.
But
But
ultimately.
what about those parts which are not specified as parts?
They don't
They
apply.
don't apply.
No, that is a problem.
That's-
I'm not sure you're right on that.
You may not be right on that.
We have, in fact, in volume 1, we have the Constitution of India as applicable to Jammu and Kashmir, which shows that this is how it was.
Part 4 won't apply.
No, not at this stage. Not at this stage. Part 3 did not apply till 1954. Preamble did not apply till 1954. That's exactly the way they proceeded.
But that's what, the only.
And this is significant.
I think 15.